There's a kind of rebellion that doesn't involve shouting or breaking the rules. Sometimes it's quiet. It lives in the questions we ask, the things we wonder about in silence, and the slow realization that growing up isn't just about age, it's about learning who you are. In Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, we follow 11-year-old Margaret Simon as she steps into the confusing, awkward, and beautiful stage between girlhood and womanhood. At its core, this story is about becoming, about identity, faith, friendships, and the private, messy process of figuring out who you're allowed to be in a world that already has labels waiting for you. This is Darcy from Ladies First, watching women in movies. Here, we empower women by reviewing and discussing films that highlight their stories, struggles, and growth. And today, we're talking about a girl who doesn't rebel loudly, but who, in her own quiet way, questions everything she's been taught and begins carving her own path. Margaret's life is in transition. Her family has just moved from New York City to New Jersey, and with the new house comes a new school, new friends, and new social rules. She's at that delicate age when everything feels urgent, especially the desire to fit in, to be normal, and to not be the last girl in her class to get her period. She becomes part of a friend group obsessed with growing up, and their version of maturity revolves around bras, boys, and becoming women as quickly as possible. But even as Margaret plays along, there's a part of her that isn't sure what any of it really means. While the others pretend to have it all figured out, Margaret begins to ask deeper questions, not just about her body, but about belief, belonging, and what it means to be herself. Caught between her Jewish grandmother's expectations and her parents' more neutral stance on religion, Margaret feels lost. Her mother doesn't want religion to define her, and her father seems content to avoid the topic entirely. But Margaret wants answers, so she does something that becomes the emotional heartbeat of the film. She talks to God, not through a church, not through rituals, but in the privacy of her room. Her prayers are raw and real. "Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret," she says again and again, like a girl knocking gently on a door she hopes someone will open. What makes this film especially meaningful is that it comes from a deeply personal and women-led place. The story is based on the beloved 1970 novel by Judy Blume, who dared to write openly about girlhood when it was still considered taboo. And decades later, the film adaptation was brought to life by writer-director Kelly Fremon Craig, with Judy Blume herself also credited as a writer on the film. But what stands out most is how authentically the female experience is portrayed, because the story was told by women, for women, and with women at the center of its creation. That's not just representation, it's authorship, and it matters. So why does Margaret belong in the conversation about women empowerment? Because she reminds us that empowerment starts long before adulthood. It begins the first time a girl asks, "Who am I?" and chooses to listen to her own answers instead of just following what she's told. Margaret's journey shows that empowerment doesn't always look loud or confident. Sometimes it looks like questioning. Sometimes it's choosing not to pick a side when neither one feels right. And sometimes it's simply learning to trust your own voice. Margaret is empowered not because she has all the answers, but because she isn't afraid to admit when she doesn't. That honesty, especially in a world that pressures girls to have it all figured out, is radical. She represents the quiet strength of becoming, the kind that grows slowly, uncertainly, but with purpose. What did Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret teach you about growing up, self-discovery, or the power of asking your own questions? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that it's okay to not have everything figured out, that the journey of becoming doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. This is Darcy from Ladies First, where we celebrate women finding their voice, even when it starts as a whisper.